The first card you have your past is the Queen of Swords, yes. Okay, so what the big thing I'm seeing here is, so far, really the overall thing I'm seeing that's standing out to me is freedom. Freedom, that's what I'm getting in this card. Wanting freedom, having that, knowing you had that freedom. Maybe you only had it up to a point though. I think you definitely felt physically free of someone. You wanted to remove yourself from this person. Maybe there was more than one person that you wanted to be free of. I'm seeing a few people, but I think there was one main person and you removed yourself from that person. And I think you were very happy to be away from that person physically. You were away from them physically. That's what you wanted. I think they might have still been on your mind a bit, not because you wanted to be around them again, not because you wanted to be with them. It's almost as if you were kind of, yes, I'm free of them, I'm away, that's really good. I'm still a bit mystified by this person though. That's kind of what you're feeling. It's like, I still don't understand this about them. I don't understand that. I'm trying to kind of work that out. And I think that's what was on your mind. You were trying to work things out about them. You were trying to solve some kind of mysterious thing about them. You couldn't quite work something out. That's what I'm getting. There are a lot of contradictions around this person. I think this might be an ex or an ex-love connection. There are still some contradictions around them, I think, because if you look at this queen, she's full of contradictions. She's welcoming with one hand and she's guarding herself with this big sword, with the other hand. So she's saying, come forward with one hand and go away with the other hand. This might be what this person was doing. Come forward, go away, come forward, go away. And you're really confused. This is something I'm just seeing out of nowhere. I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all. There might even be something a little bit mysterious or a little bit mystical about this person, maybe about how they conduct themselves, maybe their look, it might be something they say, something around them. I know that sounds really strange. It's something to do with words, I think, something they've said. It might be their name, it might be a word they said a lot, something like that. I know that's very, very bizarre. Ignore that if it doesn't resonate. But anyway, yes, there are a lot of contradictions around this person. I think they might have been a bit hot and cold. The first card you have your past is the Queen of Swords, yes. Okay, so what the big thing I'm seeing here is, so far, really the overall thing I'm seeing that's standing out to me is freedom. Freedom, that's what I'm getting in this card. Wanting freedom, having that, knowing you had that freedom. Maybe you only had it up to a point though. I think you definitely felt physically free of someone. You wanted to remove yourself from this person. Maybe there was more than one person that you wanted to be free of. I'm seeing a few people, but I think there was one main person and you removed yourself from that person. And I think you were very happy to be away from that person physically. You were away from them physically. That's what you wanted. I think they might have still been on your mind a bit, not because you wanted to be around them again, not because you wanted to be with them. It's almost as if you were kind of, yes, I'm free of them, I'm away, that's really good. I'm still a bit mystified by this person though. That's kind of what you're feeling. It's like, I still don't understand this about them. I don't understand that. I'm trying to kind of work that out. And I think that's what was on your mind. You were trying to work things out about them. You were trying to solve some kind of mysterious thing about them. You couldn't quite work something out. That's what I'm getting. There are a lot of contradictions around this person. I think this might be an ex or an ex-love connection. There are still some contradictions around them, I think, because if you look at this queen, she's full of contradictions. She's welcoming with one hand and she's guarding herself with this big sword, with the other hand. So she's saying, come forward with one hand and go away with the other hand. This might be what this person was doing. Come forward, go away, come forward, go away. And you're really confused. This is something I'm just seeing out of nowhere. I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all. There might even be something a little bit mysterious or a little bit mystical about this person, maybe about how they conduct themselves, maybe their look, it might be something they say, something around them. I know that sounds really strange. It's something to do with words, I think, something they've said. It might be their name, it might be a word they said a lot, something like that. I know that's very, very bizarre. Ignore that if it doesn't resonate. But anyway, yes, there are a lot of contradictions around this person. I think they might have been a bit hot and cold. like this queen. I think they might have said some things and then their actions were completely different, and might have been vice versa as well. And I think what happened was you kind of moved away from this person, and you were saying, well, you're looking back on all of this and you're thinking, well, why did they do that? If they said that, then why did they do this? Or if they did this, then why did they do that? And why did they say that? And none of it makes sense. I don't know why they were acting like this. So you're kind of trying to sort this all out in your head. And I think logically you probably knew you'd never really get to the bottom of this behaviour. And I don't think you really, I think you kind of thought, well, there's no point in trying to get to the bottom of this. It just is what it is. You knew that logically, but I think still every now and again, you'd have these feelings, you'd have these memories, things that go into your head, conversations you had would go round in your head, and you'd go, why? I still don't understand. Why? I just don't understand it. And you never will. I don't think you will. Also, I think, part of you was very happy to be away from them. I think you were I think you were happy to be away from all of that kind of confusion. But also, I think another part of you was kind of feeling a bit alone, that you're away from them as well. And that's totally understandable. So you still had that to sort out in your head as well. I'm just looking at this bird flying above this queen. It's totally free. It's flying in the sky, but it's alone. It's alone. And so I think that might have been a little bit of a contradiction you had inside yourself as well. You're free, or you are free, but you also felt alone when you removed yourself from this person. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, so the next card you have, you pass the World, which is a fantastic card. This can also be about endings and beginnings, and that's definitely what happened. Something definitely ended between you and someone else. If you look at this woman, she's a little bit like that bird as well. She's alone and she's sort of floating around in the sky. The thing about her is she's perfectly balanced. So I think you feel as if you have your balance back now that you're alone. And she's carrying 2 wands, so she has a lot of power. So it's almost like you feel as if you can achieve more when you are on your own. You have more power when you are on your own. That's what I'm getting there. I'm not saying you should be on your own all the time, but I'm definitely getting this feeling of being able to focus a lot more on what you want when you're alone. It might be that when you're in a relationship, maybe you let that take over your mind. It might not be, but I'm just seeing that might be a possibility. The other thing about the World card is, if you think about the world as a concept, you need a map. You need a map to navigate where you're going if you're traveling around the world. And, you couldn't navigate this person in the Queen of Swords. You just didn't know where you were with them. You were completely lost with them. And you just don't need that sort of confusion in your life. And I think that's the conclusion you came to. I think there might still be a little bit of a mystery to you, actually. Anyway, the last card you have you passed is the 3 of Cups. Beautiful card. Okay, so I'm just looking at these 3 cards together because I'm seeing a bit of a sequence here. I think there's something that you might not be trusting your own instincts with. The feeling I'm getting is there's something you might have given up on. I think this might be a work thing or a money thing. It's something that's money related, I think. I'm seeing a build-up of money. So it's not something that would have brought you money right away. It's not this big opportunity when someone's throwing money at you. I wish I could say that. It's an opportunity where money would have come to you gradually or later on, not right away. That's the kind of thing I'm seeing. Because this card's about a harvest, and with harvests, they take time to grow, and these women are celebrating with wine, and that takes time to ferment the wine in barrels, and then they process it. So it all takes time. So they've waited a long time for this celebration. And so for this money to come in, you're going to have to wait a long time if this does happen. But yeah, I think this is something you might have given up on, actually. Or maybe you tried this thing, or you tried to do this and then you gave up. You still have this on your mind. That's why this is here. You still want to do this deep down, I think, whatever this says. There is a way to do this. Look at these magic wands in the World card. You can manifest this. But I think you might be struggling to trust your instincts. You know, the Queen of Swords is saying yes and no at the same time. So you might be feeling a little bit unsure of yourself around this. You might not even be, or you might feel as if it's too late even now. You know, look at this again. Look at this World card. It's not too late. It's absolutely not too late. I'm seeing that. Try and revisit this again. If this is something you really want to manifest, because you can have this, you definitely can. I just think you need to try and sort of clear your head. You need to get some sort of clarity in place. You know, the thing with this card is this celebration here, and you could be celebrating this, but you're holding back on this thing for some reason. Okay, there's an email. There's also an email that I'm seeing. I think there was a disappointing email around this opportunity, maybe, or some news came in on email, and it was disappointing, and it's around this thing I'm seeing here. But you can definitely turn this around. You absolutely can turn this around. That's the big thing I'm seeing here. So, you know, if this all resonates, I know this is probably a little bit confusing, but if it does, you know, try to clear your head if you can. Try and work on some kind of strategy. More than anything, use your instincts. You've always been right when you follow your instincts, but your head needs to be clear first, I think, before you can actually get to those instincts, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I know that was a little bit confusing. Okay, so the first card you have, your presence, the Nine of Cups. Yeah, this could be the wish card. So again, you definitely can do this. You can have this. Every card here so far is telling me that if you feel as if you've given up and you feel as if you can't go back, you can. You absolutely can go back and pursue this again. I'm just looking at this man on this card. I think this might be the way that some people see you, like this man. Not everyone, but not people who truly know you, but I think there might be some people who maybe they look at you and they think, oh, look at this person, look at what they've got. They've got everything they want. They've got everything they need. They've got all this golden cups, you know, they're smug, they're well fed, like this man, not literally. But, you know, they have everything. They don't want for anything. That's the sort of thing I'm getting at. And, of course, you're not like that. And of course, no one has everything. And everyone has struggles, including you. You do like to keep your struggles behind this curtain sometimes. Not all of them. You can be an open person. But in other ways, I think you do sometimes. But okay, this is what I'm seeing. I hope this is going to make sense. And I hope this isn't going to annoy people, especially cross-watchers. Okay, so this is a problem that Aries has sometimes. So I think Aries can be quite sensitive people, actually. People don't see that, but they are. They can get annoyed quite easily as well. I know I can. I'm Aries. But I think this is the way you let your frustration out. And that can be misleading to people sometimes. You don't mean to mislead people, but I think people have a bit of a misguided idea about different kinds of frustration and how different people let that frustration out. Okay, I'll just say this. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I'm not condoning this at all. But, okay, when you think about, I'm just trying to explain this. When you think about love and hate, people think love is the opposite to hate. To me, it's actually, they're quite close. They're kind of the flip side of each other. Because you can't hate someone unless you had very, very strong feelings for them. You know, if you didn't love them, you wouldn't hate them as much, if that's how you feel. Because to me, indifference is the opposite of love and the opposite of hate. You know, if you don't care about someone, that's the opposite of love. You have to have loved someone or to have deeply cared about someone to actually have that hate, to have that stronger feeling about them. That's kind of my take on things. You might disagree with me. You might give everything a thumbs down. I don't know. But that's what I'm seeing. Indifference to me is the opposite of hate and the opposite of love. That's what I'm seeing. Now, in that way, anger and tears are also the flip side of each other. They're very close to each other. Now, to a lot of people, they seem the opposite. One seems very aggressive, anger seems very aggressive, and tears seem very passive. But they're both very similar. They're both a way of expressing upset and frustration, both of them. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand you. sadly, and they don't understand what's behind a lot of what you do and what you say, and why sometimes you express that anger and that upset in that way. Other times you don't want to express that, so you just get away. You just let yourself get away from whatever the situation is, which is a good way to do things. Now, I think in this last few months, if this is all resonating with you and you're not angry and you haven't switched off by now, which you probably have, but I think in this last few months, you've removed some people from your life. I know that sounds brutal, but I think this was the right thing for you to do, the right thing for you and the right thing for them, because they just do not understand you. And I think if they were around you, I think they would have been frustrated as well, and you would have been as well. It would have been bad for both of you. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to work on your reactions and that you kind of get angry and that's fine and you just get rid of anyone who doesn't like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. You do have to work on that. I do as well. I'm Aries as well. I totally understand that. But I think this process has been it's about truly finding the right people to have around you, to have close to you, and removing the others, because you're just not going to resonate with each other. That doesn't mean you don't talk to other people. It just means you're becoming very, 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 very discerning as to who you have close to you. And that sounds very harsh, I know. And I know cross-watchers aren't going to like this. But I think you've learned that this is very, very necessary for you to do this. You do trust people, but you're just going to be very, very careful from now on who you have close to you. I think you've always been a little bit like that, but what I think is letting go of this person in the Queen of Swords might have been a catalyst for you to really start ramping this up in other areas of your life, because I think this happened in your love life. But now you're seeing, no, I don't need that person in my love life, but I also don't need person B, C, and D in other areas of my life. So that was the start to you ramping this up in other areas. I hope that makes sense. And I hope it hasn't. I hope people don't take that the wrong way. And I hope you're not all mad at me. But that's what I'm seeing. And that's what I'm saying. Okay, so the next card you have your presence, the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is there's some kind of, I'm seeing this quite clearly. I'm actually seeing some people behind a desk, some kind of panel of people. I think they're discussing something. I think this is about a project or about a business or something. I think this might be about this thing you gave up on, or you kind of half gave up on. It's something that you were going along with this. You thought, yes, I'll do this thing. I'll do this project. Seems fine. And then suddenly there was a stop. It's like, no, I don't think I want to do this now. I'm worried. I'm scared. I don't like this. Everything's telling me no. That's what I'm getting. Now, everything might be telling you no even now, or you might have eased up a bit on that. But there's still a little door that's open to this for you, whether you realize it or not. I think you might have felt like giving up, but you still think about this. That's what I'm getting in this card. I'm seeing this email again in this. I keep on seeing this email. I don't know if this is going to make any sense at all. There was an email that maybe indicated to you that things were off on this thing and that things weren't happening, or that there was some kind of negative thing around this that came in an email, and you read this and you said, oh, no, I don't want this now. That's what I'm getting. If you do still want to do this, if you still do, and it must still be in your energy, because I'm seeing this everywhere. At least try to talk to them if you can, if this is something you really want. Try to open the communication up again. I think you might have had some kind of scare. Something else made you feel like you wanted to stop this as well. Not just in the email, there was something outside of that as well, because I'm seeing a stop, a big stop. You might have even stopped what you were doing and you suddenly thought something like, no, I can't do this. That's what I'm seeing. You're going along and then there was a no. So now that I'm seeing that, everywhere else I'm seeing you'd like to manifest this, but here I'm seeing this no, this stop. So yeah, I am now seeing there's some confusion around this. So okay, I'm seeing this quite strongly now. So I think you are confused about this. You're not sure which way to go on this. Okay, part of you does want to manifest this, part of you doesn't want to miss out on this, another part of you is saying no. So I think you need to really clear your head around this if this is resonating. I don't know if you meditate, you don't have to. You can even go for a walk in nature if you can, that can help, or just lie down quietly, let your mind wander. And I think when you let your mind wander, or when you clear your head, that's when you're going to get your instincts back into your head, and you're going to be able to make that final decision. And I think once you've done that, once you've made the decision, you're not going to go back on that. That'll be it, if that makes sense. Your instincts are always right. You know, think back to times when you followed them and times when you haven't. They've always been right. But you've got to find your instincts first before you can follow them. And to be able to find your instincts, you've got to be able to get your head clear. That's what I'm seeing in that card. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the last card you have your presence, the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so this is a very frustrating card. Very frustrating for Aries. Okay, so I think this is something else you're kind of working on. I'm seeing another process here that you're going through. You're a little bit nervous about this thing. This is a completely different thing to what I was seeing in Three of Pentacles. This is something you're working on right now. So you know that you've got to do this. You know that this is happening. You've gotten up to a certain level with this, I think, and you haven't gotten any further with that, because the Knight of Pentacles just sits there and doesn't get any further. He wants to, but he doesn't. So I think this is something you're new to. I think you might be a little bit worried about what people think of you around this. You might be a bit inexperienced in whatever this is. You might be thinking, oh, people are going to think, why don't they know that? Why are they asking that question? Don't worry about that. I don't think anyone's going to do that. It's going to be absolutely fine. And I think you've done a lot of work in this in terms of research, but I'm not seeing any talking, no discussions. So you might not have actually spoken to anyone about this. You might not have done anything in terms of, talking to people about this. So I think that's the next step you've got to take with this. Whatever you're anxious about, there's always a solution. And I think you're in a good position here to be able to do what you want with this. And I also think there'll be people around you willing to help you when you do step up to this. And I think this is a reminder to say, make a start, make appointments, call people, ask for help. I don't mean to sound bossy, but I think you are a little bit like this knight at this time. You want to get to this coin. It's right in front of you. You know you want the prize, but you're not making the right efforts to get there yet. You've researched things, you've gotten up to a certain point, but you need to make the next step. So just do this. It's going to be absolutely fine. I'm not seeing any problems around this at all. Of course, nothing's ever perfect. There are always little things that are going to go wrong, but no big problems. So please go ahead with this if this is resonating with you. Okay, the first card you have, your futures, the King of Cups. Yes. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, this is really interesting. I think for you, this is about getting a lot of distractions and different people out of your life. And that's continuing on from what I'm seeing in this whole reading so far. But it's about getting the emotional distractions out of your life and focusing on other things. Obviously, this king's by himself. He's on an island. But the thing that's standing out to me on this card is this red ship. It's sailing behind him. It's just on the right. Yeah, ships represent merchants, merchant ships. There was a lot of trade during the Renaissance time, and a lot of trade ships around, going backwards and forwards, trading things. And this one's red. So that shows me that, money, your work, trade, all of that kind of thing, that's where your focus is going to be for a while. That's where your passion is, in your work, because it's red. And you're not going to let anyone distract you from that from now on, for a while anyway. You're not going to. You have other things you're focusing on. You don't just have your work. But yeah, I think you're going to be very, very, very work focused. I think that's where you feel you're most secure as well. It's almost like, this is what I'm getting. It feels like there's a kind of an insecure, wishy-washy world around you, which is the world of emotions. All these waves that are going up and down around this king. They're kind of going up and down around him. He's sitting there in the middle, on a piece of stone, and he's saying, no, I'm not letting it get to me. I'm not letting the emotions get to me. I'm getting away from all that. I want stability. I don't want wishy-washy going up and down. I'm going to focus on my work. I'm going to focus on that. The ship's where my passion is. And that's where my stability is. That's where I'm focusing. Now, you don't always feel 100% stable when it comes to your work. Of course, we all go up and down in the way we feel about our abilities. I do all the time. So you are going to still going up and down a bit. When you're on a ship, of course you go up and down. But at least you're on the ship. At least you're on a ship. At least you're not swimming around in this wishy-washy ocean of emotion anymore. That rhymes. You're still more stable. You're still more stable on a ship than you are drowning in the ocean of emotion. You don't want that anymore. You want to be where there's stability. And for you, stability is where work is. So that's going to be your focus, work, building that up. And I think that's where you're feeling the safest at this time. I think you will probably go on in your future. You are going to probably meet someone eventually. You are going to get off that and you're going to be fine about your emotions. But at this time, work's your focus. That's what I'm seeing. So the next card you have, your future strength. Okay, yeah. Right. Oh, I was seeing this in your last reading. I'm seeing it again here. I'm sighing because this is annoying me. And that's what happens when you do weekly readings. You get similar things sometimes because there's not much time between readings. But anyway, this is what's happening. Someone's going to come back. Someone's going to want to talk to you. I'm seeing a big gap of time where no one's saying anything. They're keeping very quiet. And then, just when everything's calmed down, just when it's safe to go back into the water, here they come. They're not Jaws. But that's when they're coming back. It's like they're trying to talk to you just when they feel everything's calmed down. Oh, maybe it's safe now. I'm going to come back and talk to them. It's really annoying me. I'm trying to keep my calm. This is the strength card. I have to tame myself. I think you'll get a short message. It's something like that. A little text, an email maybe, a very, very short message. I think you're going to have to tame yourself as well. You're going to have to watch yourself because this is going to really frustrate you. This is this ex, this is this love connection. Definitely, I think this is this person I'm seeing in the Queen of Swords. Now, you're just going to be thinking something like, no, I've got things I want to do. There are things I want to manifest. I'm not going to let them distract me. I'm not going to let them just come in and out of my life whenever they feel like it, making my emotions go up and down like this wishy-washy water that's around this king. I am not going to fall into the water. I'm staying on my stone or my rock. I'm not falling in. I am not. You might try and make me fall in, but I'm not falling in. I am not. I've got things I have to concentrate on. I've got my work. I'm not going to do this. That's the kind of thing you'll be saying to yourself. Now, okay, I'm feeling something very strongly here. It's almost like you've never known. This is what I'm getting around this person again in the Queen of Swords. You've never known them. You've never known who they truly are. You know, it's like, I'm just looking at this lion and this woman, and it's like, which one are they? Are they the woman? Are they all mild and kind? Or are they the lion? Which one are they? You just don't know. The other thing is, why are they sending this now? Why are they messaging you now after all this time? That's really irritating. I need to tame myself as well. I know I'm not going to be irritated by this. This kind of thing really annoys me, and it's happened to me as well. It's happened to me, so I know what this feels like. That's why I'm getting really irritated. You know, and I just feel like saying, what do you want? What do you want? You know, anyway, so you've made up your mind, I think. You're not interested in this person anymore. And, you know, I think once you might have been. I think once you might have been fine with being their friend, maybe, but not now. Not after this. Absolutely not now. So if this resonates, you're absolutely doing the right thing. You don't need this messing up your head. That's what I'm seeing in that card, and you know that.